What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we are going to be bringing out the Gligar. This is going to be one of many times I'm going to be using this Pokemon as it is now the top flying type Pokemon in the meta. Gone are the days of Noctowl. It is the reign of Gligar, and that is because of the massive improvement or the massive lowering and improvement overall to the energy cost of Dig and Aerial Ace. Dig got its damage and energy lowered, Aerial Ace got its energy lowered, and now it is extremely viable and extremely meta. I'm going to be pairing it with Steelix and Shadow Dragonite just to have some fun. Steelix is a part of the meta now, ranked 12 overall, and Shadow Dragonite, well, it's spicy and fun, and hopefully we get some nice booms today. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Gligar and Steelix, because they are by far, in my opinion, the two best new meta Pokemon that have been added, and they're really good. All right, getting into the first battle here, we have Steelix on the lead versus Toxapex. So very positive lead here for us, even though they do have access to Brine, and we will see a swap out into Shadow Gligar. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out my Shadow Dragonite. Now with Wing Attack Fast Move, you and I both know how good it is at gaining energy. And the thing is it gets to charge moves extremely quickly. Now, this Gligar is running with Night Slash here, which they did get the boost from. But we're going to go ahead and put this into the 2 shields, and then hopefully I can farm down. I don't know, though, so I'm going to have to give up a shield right here. I want to maintain switch advantage, and I will be able to farm down, which is perfect. And now I can go for a Dragon Claw here against the Toxapex, maintaining switch advantage. It's all going to come down to what that final Pokemon in the back is going to be. Now, Gligar, you guys are going to see this video, other videos that I have, because as of recording this, I've used it in multiple different teams. Gligar just puts in work. That's all I'm going to say. It gets to charge moves extremely quickly, and we're going to see it go against a Diggersby here, which is going to be perfectly fine. Now, mine is a normal type. It was actually purified. I did this a long time ago. Shadow is higher ranked, but the normal version or the non-Shadow version is also pretty highly ranked. I believe it's like 6 is Shadow, and the other one is somewhere near that, definitely under 20. So it is viable for those of you asking, should I use Shadow, should I use normal? If you have the opportunity to do Shadow, do that. But right here for me, I'm just using the normal one. I did TM away Return because Dig and Aerial Ace is just far too good. You also have the opportunity for Night Slash if you want that for added coverage to Psychic and Ghost type Pokemon. Very nice move to have. But overall, we're just gonna be taking this one right here against Diggersby. There's not a lot it can do, as we are pretty tanky here, and Aerial Ace is extremely spammy, and we can survive fire punches like no one's business. So we're just gonna go ahead and look to go for an Aerial Ace once the Diggersby, or once we get the energy, so we get Diggersby out of there, and then we're gonna bring in that Steelix to the Toxapex and go for the Earthquake. Again, even though Brine is super effective damage, a Toxapex cannot put out the damage needed to take down a Steelix, nor does Brine even do enough. It's not a good enough charge move to even be threatening right here. As you guys are going to see, Brine will land, but it just tickles, honestly. We got the Earthquake coming in. They will decide to surrender, so that's going to be a good game. Very well played. All right, moving to the next one. Now, something that we will, I wonder if it's this battle, what we will talk about, Steelix versus Steelix. It wasn't this battle, but we have a mirror fight, and this is like Bastiodon, or not, like Galarian Stunfisk versus Galarian Stunfisk, where if the Earthquake lands, it's over. Now, my opponent decides to go for Breaking Swipe first. This is way too, it could be Crunch, but way too quick to be Earthquake, which now is going to give me an opportunity to get myself advantages, get myself shield, or just one-shot the Steelix, because I can safely just go for Earthquake. So now we have shield advantage right here. They go for another Breaking Swipe, which I do not need to shield. I am totally fine with this. It's not going to do that much damage, and they swap out into Sableye, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Gligar into this matchup. You could bring in the Dragonite, because it's the 2-to-1 shield that we have advantage of. Either Pokemon could come in because they'll do well. You just shield the 2 foul plays, right? But I wanted to see what Gligar could do. Sableye is a Pokemon that it's going to be facing off against, and I wanted to see what it's capable of. It's Aerial Ace, decent amount of damage right there. Now, I will have to give up a shield here, but that is okay, because Gligar is one of those Pokemon where it handles what it's supposed to. It handles neutral matchups very well with an advantage, and it has coverage on the back end. So we have that dig for the Steelix. So we're going to go ahead and go for another Aerial Ace. They decide to shield once again, which is fine by me because I can give up another shield here to maintain switch advantage. And then we will see what they decide to do. I'm going to go ahead and commit to the full farm down. So Gligar able to take it right there, and they do bring in a Medicham. So we're going to be able to get 2 Aerial Aces off right here. Hopefully it's going to be enough to KO. No, it's not. Still a good amount of damage right there for the energy cost, right? Pretty spammy, and still able to get the Medicham basically into the 10% health range. So Dragonite's going to go ahead and come in. This is going to hurt. We're going to get hit with an Ice Punch. We're going to get one shot. But you guys know I have to sacrifice the Dragonite right here in order to win this game. Our Steelix versus their Steelix is ahead on energy. So I will, boom, win the race to Earthquake because they have gone for so many breaking swipes that it's not an Earthquake. And if it is, then something is extremely wrong. It's just going to be breaking swipe, so we are able to survive. I go for the Earthquake right away. That way I can just get rid of Steelix because the Medicham is one fast move, boom, away from getting taken out. And that is going to be a good game, very well played. So we saw Mirror Fight. We saw Gligar versus Sableye mid-game. Good advantage, good coverage on the back end. And overall pretty solid. All right, we got Diggersby here on the lead, so this is going to be a tough one. We have to swap out right away. And I'm going to go ahead and go into the Gligar and get ahead on energy. Now, they do decide to swap in a Lantern. This is exactly what we want to see. If you are a Gligar or Lantern user, you got to see this matchup because Dig, boom, does so much damage for extremely spammy coverage. And I get to another one, but in this case, I decide to go for Aerial Ace to shield bait. Guess what we get? We get the shield. Absolutely beautiful. Gligar is putting on a performance right now here against Lantern. Now, it is weak to Surf, but Surf is not enough to KO, and Spark doesn't do anything. Remember, we have that ground typing, so we are resisting right here, even though we are part flying. So I'm going to go ahead and shield another Surf. I'm going to overload just a bit and go for another Dig now to take this mid-game matchup so that we get switch advantage. So Lantern goes down. In comes a Ninetales, and this Battlers is very tough. I have to come in with Steelix, and this is a situation where just because we have Breaking Swipe and Dragon Tail doesn't mean that we can necessarily beat Fairy-type Pokemon because this is heavily resistant. Now, we go ahead and swap into Dragonite here against the Diggersby, and what my hope is in this matchup is to be able to come out of here with a superpower ready to go. So that way we can Earthquake the Ninetales, right? Superpower, Earthquake, you know what we're cooking with right here. So we're going to go ahead and let these charge moves go through. We resist both Earthquake and Fire Punch. So I'm going to go ahead and overload on energy, but I decided to fire a little bit early. I didn't want to get hit with another Fire Punch. In hindsight, I should have committed to the farm down because I needed this superpower right here. I don't get it. I needed that superpower in order to win, so I should have committed to farm down and shielded because now I have to go for shield bait, and they call it here. My opponent makes a great call, and that's a good game. I can't do anything right here. Breaking Swipe, even though it lowers their attack, it's not doing any damage. It's just heavily resisted. So that's a misplay on my end, but there was the opportunity to win, which is always important. If you get yourselves into positions where you could have won, if you made a slightly better decision, then you're right there, right? And I think it was also very cool to see Gligar versus Lantern and why Gligar has climbed up so high. Good game to my opponent right there. Why Gligar has climbed up so high in the rankings because of its ability to have coverage. Fighter, Steel, and Lantern. It's absolutely beautiful. Right, now we have a Lickitung here on the lead, so very cool to see what this matchup is potential, what the potential here is, because Breaking Swipe and Dragon Tail is really going to start adding up as the attack will continuously drop here on the Lickitung. So what we're going to see is most likely the Steelix winning this lead matchup, as Power Whip is just not enough damage. Breaking Swipe is relentless. We just get tankier and tankier by the minute. Dragon Tail, or by the second, Dragon Tail is putting in a lot of fast move pressure. And we don't need to shield. We have already seen what Power Whip does, and we've already debuffed them once again. So now we're in a very good position because they did go for Body Slam right there. We're in a very, very good position where I can safely go for this charge move and then look to farm down and take the lead right here. They decide to let it go, which is fine. But they do get to another charge move, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go. It is going to be the Power Whip, which we still survive right there. So Steelix, a Lick-a-Tongue counter confirmed. That is absolutely beautiful to see, and it's all because of Breaking Swipe. Now they swap in Defense Form Deoxys, so I'm going to save my Steelix for a sacrificial swap as I bring in the Shadow Dragonite here into this matchup. Now against Defense Form Deoxys, we have to be shielding right here. The charge moves, Psycho Boost, Rock Slide just do way too much, but since we resist counter, we're safe to go shields in deep on this matchup because we just do so much damage with Dragon Breath. And they decided to shield right there, so I'm going to go ahead and give no shield this one. Their Breaking Swipe debuff and Psycho Boost debuff, which means this next one is not going to do as much damage, and I will be able to farm down right here. They only have Lick-a-Tongue with no health, and let's see what the final Pokemon is going to be. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Medicham, but let's find out. Yep, it's Medicham. So that is basically going to be a good game. We're doing a lot of damage here with Dragon Claw. And I also don't want them to farm me down, so I will swap out now into Gligar. Because if the Medicham farms down my Dragonite, those Ice Punches then would be very, very terrible here on the back end. So I'm going to go ahead and shield the first Ice Punch. I need to be careful about them catching the charge move on Lick-a-Tongue, but ultimately we should be able to take this right here because the Wing Attack to Aerial Ace spam is just way too good as we get to another one in time, and that's a wrap. Gligar, top meta now, absolutely beautiful, and I'm loving this, using this Pokemon. Taking out what it's supposed to, covering neutral matchups like we saw against Sableye, absolutely putting work in against Lantern as we go into the final battle here. Good game against my last opponent. We got Bastiodon here on the lead. They decide to swap out into Victory Bell. So I come in with Gligar. I should have come in with Dragonite. This was a slight mistake on my end. Dragonite obviously the much better matchup because we heavily resist the Razor Leaf and Dragon Breath just shreds down. We have super power against Bastiodon in the back end. So I will have to give up a shield here, unfortunately. And I think if the Victory Bell goes deep into shields, then we lose. So I'm going to go ahead and go for an Aerial Ace right here in order to take them out. And they do decide to no shield. So they let the Victory Bell go down. Now I'm reading a Medicham in the back, but unfortunately my opponent, I think, disconnected. They come in right here. They're going to disconnect. They stop attacking after this dig. So I go for the dig. And this is why Gligar, very, very beautiful coverage here. We get to the dig in time, but as you guys can see, my attack is not going through. So I think they disconnected, and I waited here for a bit. You guys are going to see, I cut it right here. I'm like, I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting. They're not coming back. So I cut it ahead. I waited about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. They never came back. So unfortunately to my opponent, that would have been a nice game to play out. But I do decide to just take out the Bastiodon right here. And we'll have to see if our prediction was right. Right? Medicham in the back. And this happens sometimes, right? If you get disconnected or your opponent's lagging. Like, there's not a lot you can do. There's three guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and go battle lag. Right? That's the triple threat. So we will see that the final Pokemon was, in fact, a Medicham. So yeah, I could have played this better. If we just take a learning lesson here, you see the Shadow Victory Bell, you come in with Dragonite, but I just fast went to the Gligar, forgetting that, it's that neutral damage with Razor Leaf. But overall, this is going to be a good game. But what I really want to emphasize from this initial playthrough or this initial try with Gligar is that it is meta. It is very good. You guys saw what its potential is, especially against the tanks, especially against the fighters, especially against Sableye, Lantern. Like, it's a beautiful coverage, amazing spam, shield baiting opportunities, and it deserves a top 10 ranking like we have seen. It deserves that top spot. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Gligar and Steelix. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. So like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.